Healing is not about learning how to deal with trauma. Healing is about learning how to feel safe again. Most of us feel very comfortable feeling anxiousness. We spend a lot of time there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, however, feel safe to feel peace. So healing is learning how to feel safe to feel peace. Healing is learning how to feel safe, to feel loved. We are used to the sensation of rejection. We don't like it, but we're used to it. Are we as used to feeling accepted? Or when we feel the sensation of I'm feeling accepted by the people around me right now, how quick do you reject it because you're not used to the sensation of it?
We're in some really, really intense times, which is why I have my best friend in the whole wide world on today. And I'm so excited. She's one of the smartest people that I know. And let me tell you just a little bit about her. Her name is Laurel Huston, and she is an award-winning international keynote speaker and mentor. She is innovative, very engaging on stage, and with groundbreaking content. She's the creator of body mapping, and we're going to talk about what's life mapping, what's body mapping, what does that mean? She's a trauma-informed breathwork facilitator and a tantra coach. By honing these skills, Laurel has become a highly sought-after expert in masculine and feminine energy. She has helped thousands regain their trust and confidence in their relationships with money, their body, and sacred sexual experiences that create and improve intimacy. Laurel utilizes balancing the masculine, feminine energies, body mapping, and breath work to empower others to reunite with their divine energy so they can live a life of tuned in and turned on. Laurel, I love you. Thank you for being here.
Oh, it is always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to be here.
I love you the most. Like you're just the best. Okay. Now my fangirl, we're going to put her to the side, and now I'm going to be professional. We're going to have a great conversation because
yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Well, yeah, it's going to be a great conversation regardless. I don't know about the professionalism, at least on my part, but we both got the green memo. So we're both wearing our green blouses today. So there is that. But I wanted to have you on specifically right now because of where we're at in society, particularly in the United States. And in fact, before we started recording, I was like, Laurel, every day I'm doing this all day long. And this is not really like a cleansing breath. I'm like, what is going on? And you were so spot on. And you said the overwhelming feeling in society is what?
Panic.
And I think too, we're all getting more and more like in tuned and more sensitive to energies as well. So I think we are picking up on other people's panic, which isn't always our own panic, but then we think it's our own panic. So I was like, I need to have you on so we can talk about the panic. We can talk about how to get out of it, what's causing it, like all the things. So first of all, let's talk about life mapping. What is it?
So life mapping, one of the things I love to tell people is none of us came with a manual, but we do have a map and we all have our own compass. So your head is a clock, your heart is a compass. When you are feeling lost, stop asking a clock for directions. So and this is where panic comes from, is from the head, from creating stories, from the feeling of anxiousness, all of those things. So I tell people, if you can get back and connect to your heart is a compass and it's going to guide you and lead you in your individual journey instead of the collective chaos that's happening right now. But there are so many things flashing in that are trying to get us into our head. And so I wanted to give your audience some tips on regulating their nervous system to get out of panic and to feel safe to be back in their body. So life mapping is 5 different modalities. There's emotion, breath, body, mind, and relationships mind and money. And so we're going to put them all together because, and this is one of the things we talked about at the beginning, sometimes people are like, I'm going to focus on this one area. And although you do improve, sometimes we forget that our lives are more like a rope that's braided. You can't just work on one area. You are an expert in prosperity and you still teach about relationships and health because they all are intertwined. So my main focus is to really get people to connect with sensation in the body. Somatics would be another word that a lot of people are using right now, because sensation is information. And information is what tells us what type of integration needs to happen so that we can have transformation. But when we cut off our sensations because we're uncomfortable with them or they're unknown to us, we cut ourselves off from that information. Or worse, I teach people emotion is sensation, sensation is information, not identification.
Oh, talk about that.
Okay. So a lot of people, when you look at an emotion, and even if you don't label the emotion, but the emotion feels heavy, if you make the sensation of heaviness mean something about who you are instead of what you're experiencing, you deal with it differently. So if sensation is identification, you make it mean something about who you are as a person. But when sensation is information, it allows you to evaluate the experience you're in right now, but you still have value and you still have worth, and it doesn't change who you are as a person. So
Okay.
you can be feeling heaviness that other people would label as depression, or you may be feeling beehives swarming inside and you're having the sensation of anxiousness, but that doesn't mean anything about you as a person. It means you're experiencing that sensation. And because it's an experience, you can change it. But if it's an identification, you have to deal with it.
Wow. Okay. So if people are like, okay, I'm feeling the beehive sensation, I'm feeling the bees, I'm feeling all of the, just talking about it, I can feel it.
Right?
So, okay, so if this is what the sensation is, then like what's the next part? Because I think most people are like, yeah, I know I'm anxious. Tell me something I don't know. Like, what do I do? So what's the next step?
So this is why I love to get people back to just sensation. If it's sensation and not identification, you can change the label. So if you take that buzzing and that swirling and that inside you, if the first thing we do is we go, oh, it's anxiety. I'm feeling anxiety right now. Your brain will create a story of anxiousness. Can that same sensation also be anticipation, excitement? And
It
if you
can if I
say,
say so, right?
exactly. And so if you're like, ooh, this is information is telling me that a change is coming. What kind of change do I want? Because you're going to create a story either way. But if you label it and make it mean something about you instead of go, ooh, I'm feeling this. What am I experiencing right now? Or better question, what do I want to experience right now? This is anticipation. This is excitement. Ooh, I wonder what's coming. Instead of I'm anxious.
Mhm.
I'm depressed. That's identification.
Do you find that when you first started doing this, or when your clients first started doing this, where it's like, no, I'm not anxious, I'm excited, did their brain say, no, actually, you're quite anxious? Like, was there an argument going back and forth? Any
So
pushback?
whenever it's I and if I have this quoted wrong, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure it's Byron Katie that said, what else could be true? She started asking, ask yourself what else could be true. So this is where, yeah, you do go into a negotiation with your head. And most of the time that negotiation is, well, if this isn't anxiety and it's anticipation, am I allowed to anticipate things? Like, what are my rules around whether or not it's safe for me to feel anticipation? Because I'm not used to feeling anticipation. I'm used to feeling anxiety. So
Mhm.
is it safe to feel this new label? So here's the next big piece about life mapping. And these are my one-liners if people want to be like, I remember this. Healing is not about learning how to deal with trauma. Healing is about learning how to feel safe again.
You're gonna need to say that again.
Healing is not about learning how to deal with trauma. Healing is about learning how to feel safe again. Most of us feel very comfortable feeling anxiousness. We spend a lot of time there.
Mhm. Uh-huh.
It doesn't, however, feel safe to feel peace. So healing is learning how to feel safe, to feel peace.
Wow.
Healing is learning how to feel safe, to feel loved. We are used to the sensation of rejection. We don't like it, but we're used to it. Are we as used to feeling accepted? Or when we feel the sensation of I'm feeling accepted by the people around me right now, how quick do you reject it because you're not used to the sensation of it?
Somebody just popped right into my mind about with that, like it's safe to be accepted. It's okay for me to belong, and I will keep her name out of the conversation for sake of anonymity. But I think every single one of us has done this before. Her brain immediately went to, oh well, they're just being polite. Oh well, they don't want to hurt your feelings, or they're just like fill in the blank about why they're not actually sincere,
Mhm.
because it's not safe to be accepted.
Here's another one. It's not safe to feel healthy because when I feel healthy, I expect more of myself or other people expect more of me. So I don't actually want to feel health because then there's more responsibility on me. So it feels safer to feel sick. That's not a health issue. That's a boundary issue. When you can say, "Ooh, I feel safe to feel healthy because I can tell people no."
Oh
You'll
yeah.
allow yourself to be healthier.
That is fascinating. And it makes me think of, and stay with me here because it could be a rabbit hole, but it's coming up for a reason.
Yes.
There is a whole movement about body positivity that is so unhealthy that there is now thin shaming. It's not even thin shaming, it's health shaming. And I watched some TikToker who was quite unhealthy, quite overweight say, if you go to the gym regularly because you want to be able to see your muscles, that means you're fat phobic. I mean, it was really interesting that she was calling me a fat phobe and a fat shamer and a body shamer because I wanted to take care of my body. And we're in this really weird place where it's like, don't make anybody else feel uncomfortable by you trying to grow. But I just thought, you know what, I'm reaching the age where my give a damn is broken more and more and more.
Mhm.
And I'm like, fine, then you can label me whatever you want. I don't care. Call me a fat phobic then, but I don't want to weigh 400 pounds being 5'2". Like I
This
can't serve the way I am supposed to serve if I'm not healthy.
This is where the information versus identification. What story, if you're like, oh, okay, but no, I actually really enjoy seeing my muscles and feeling strong.
Mhm.
It feels safe for me to feel light, to have pressure removed. So if you like that sensation and that sensation feels safe for you, you don't go into, but what does this mean about me? You go, I like what I'm experiencing right now. I'm going to continue to experience it. But when we make it mean something, you're a better person, you're a worse person, dependent on your size or your exercise habits.
Mhm.
It's no longer information, it's identification. Because for someone to be like, I am so happy with my 200-pound body. I don't feel better when I exercise. Okay, well, I don't. Cool. That's your story. That doesn't have to be my story.
Mhm.
That's your experience. That doesn't have to be my experience.
Mhm.
But this is when we try to force someone into our experience, it's because we don't see it as an experience. We see it as an identity. And we need people to validate our
Oh,
identity.
oh, dang. The identity politics. Oh, yes, yes. And I keep having this thought of, why does somebody have to be wrong? Like, why do we have to be wrong? You can have your perspective and I can have my perspective, and I can respect yours and not agree with it, and you can respect mine and not agree with it, and it doesn't make either of us wrong. It just makes us having our own individual journey.
But that requires people to not make a story about their worth based on someone else's experience.
Oh, and that is hard.
And for those that are listening to this and they're like, but I'm in that right now, then don't be embarrassed about that.
Mhm.
Because if you have a level of awareness where you're like, I am constantly negotiating with myself because I'm trying to not identify with my emotions. I have a 6-year-old, and because the language he's only ever learned, instead of like when he comes up, he'll say, Mom, I'm feeling bored. My 6-year-old has never been taught to claim his sensations. So he doesn't come up to me and say, I'm bored. He'll say, Mom, I'm feeling bored. I'm having a hard time with my imagination? Can you give me some suggestions? That's my 6-year-old.
Oh my God.
Because he has never been taught that the way he is feeling means something about him and his character as a person.
Mm-hmm.
He is being taught, right now you're experiencing this. If you like this experience, stay with it. If this experience feels uncomfortable or unknown to you, what do you need? What other information do you need? Discomfort is just saying we don't have enough information. But instead we make it mean I'm stupid, I'm dumb. We create this story about our identity instead of just saying, oh, I'm going to give this example because it feels so relevant. For years, when I started my company over a decade ago, my big tagline was, I am enough and so are you. And so I've done a lot of work with enoughness. And when I was just doing mindset work, and I'm going to say this and it's not going to set well with people, and I don't care, I'm going to say it anyways. Mindset without body set is pointless. Because in mindset, I stood in front of the mirror every day and I told myself that I was enough and I was good enough and I was enough. I did the power poses. I used body language. I did all the mindset. But until I actually went, what is the sensation I'm feeling in my body when I think I'm not enough? Because that's why the declaration isn't sinking in, because the action doesn't match the word. The sensation in my body does not match what I'm hearing in my head. So I went, okay, what is the sensation of not enough? Well, it feels empty for me. And then I went, okay, well, hold on. If I'm empty, that means I have capacity. A cup that's empty is not worthless. It just means it has the ability to be filled with something. So when I am feeling not enough, that means I have capacity for more. What more do I want? I am a person, and it does not change my value. What that not enoughness is telling me is that I have increased my capacity, my energy, and I now have room to receive more. Instead of identity, it's information. I have capacity for more love. I have compassion, or I have capacity for more wealth, for more health, for more connections. It's not that I'm not enough. It's that I have room. There's emptiness in here because I haven't filled it. What do I want to fill it with?
I love that. It's so simple, not easy, because it's so loud today. It's loud in our minds. It's loud on social media. It's just it's loud everywhere. So what do you tell people to like help them be able to ease into this?
The very first thing, and again, it's simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Start paying attention to sensation. And even if that just means setting a timer on your phone and being like, okay, I need 2 minutes where no one bugs me. And in that 2 minutes, I'm going to listen to myself breathe. And while I listen to myself breathe, I'm not going to try and shift or change anything. I'm just going to bring awareness to my body. Where in my body do I feel cold? Where in my body do I feel tense or tight? So I'm going to use myself as an example. Like right now, my cheeks are warm, but my toes are cold. Okay, I have that awareness now. That doesn't mean anything about me other than I didn't put socks on before I started the podcast. That doesn't make me lazy or crazy or any other stories. It just means I'm experiencing cold feet and a warm face because I have a light and no socks. Okay, that's great awareness that I now have. Now I'm just going to take some deep breaths and see what else my body is telling me. So when you're listening right now, I will go quiet. I say with a smile for 10 seconds. I'll have to count in my head, so I really do stay quiet. But in that 10 seconds of silence, you haven't lost the podcast. I want you to use your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? What do you smell? What do you taste that you didn't before I asked you to pay attention to it? Okay, I'm going to count in my head for 10 seconds.
I have a timer. So I'll
Okay.
Ready, go. Stop.
Okay. What did you hear? What did you see? What did you smell? What did you taste? What texture did you become aware of, or temperature? It's been there the whole time.
Or were you like, it took me 8 seconds to even get into my body? That's okay too.
That's awareness too. And all that, and don't make a story about it. All that means is, cool, I now know it takes me at least 8 seconds to have body awareness. It's just information. It does not mean, because if you're now being like, well, that means I'm in numb. No, it doesn't. It means that at the place you're at right now, it takes 8 seconds for you to have body awareness. Cool. Now you know. Now you can invite yourself to be more mindful throughout the day so that you can have body awareness in 6 seconds or 5 seconds. It's an experience you're having, not an identification. So that's the first part of it. What senses are you paying attention to? Then, are you honoring them? How many of you that are listening discovered that you're feeling hungry, that your body is craving thirst? It needs food. It wants movement. Like maybe you got a little bit twitchy because it's realizing you've been sitting still for a long time. Maybe you need to use the restroom, but you're like, I work an 8-hour shift and I congratulate myself on not peeing through the entire 8-hour shift. Like, I don't know how that became a proud moment that we brag about the fact that we refuse to detoxify our bodies.
I know, but we're in the upside down. So, healthy is now unhealthy.
Exactly. So paying attention to the sensations in your body and then honoring them. I need a drink right now. I'm experiencing hunger. And then if you want to go to the next level, what is my body craving? What is it asking me for? Do I have access to what it's asking me for? Does it want protein? Does it want carbohydrates? Can I consume that food without making it mean something about my identity?
Yeah, that's the game right there.
Yes. So are there different levels to this? Absolutely. But the base of it is, how much information am I getting through sensation?
Okay, this is a perfect segue into what you have created. And and first of all, thank you. I love this so much. I'm taking all of this in as well and being like, oh yeah, I keep creating a story about this. I am thirsty. I am hungry. So, we're all works in progress. But you have so many amazing trainings and events and all of the things. And we were talking before, and you were going to do this 5-day thing or 5 separate events. And then you decided to condense it into like a 3-day deep dive called life mapping. So will you tell us what it is, what they can expect, where to find it, when it is, like all the things? I am going to be there. So if anybody wants to come play with me too, I will be there for the whole event as well, because I'm like, oh, can I come?
So the logistics of it, November 7th and 9th in St. George, Utah. If you want to be in person, which I highly encourage you to come with us in person, or you can tap in through Zoom, but it's a live feed. So there's no, I get a recording or a replay. So Zoom will be as if you are live and in person. So that's why I say come in person, because my workshop, this 3-day event, will be very interactive because it's about sensation. So why was it 5 events condensed down into 1? Because they're all interplay. And day 1, we are going to really dive deep into the nervous system, getting into emotion and sensation. And we will be doing trauma-informed breath work so that as you have this emotional sensation come up, we'll be using tapping and skills that you can take with you and continue to use once you go home. So there will be multiple integrative breath sessions that we do throughout the event to actually help you get into and understand. So day 1 is nervous system, emotion, sensation, integration. Day 2 will be body, mind, and money, an actual wealth embodiment What does it feel? Does it actually feel safe in your body to feel wealthy? Does it actually feel safe in your body to feel healthy? So we're going to get into body mapping, which Allyson mentioned. The short version of body mapping, I tell you what your eyes mean, what your shoulders mean, what your teeth mean, what your hands mean. Because again, sensation is information, and those sensations come through your body. So instead of learning body language, I teach you the language of your body. And that's day 2.
Cool. Cool.
So then day 3 is relationships. I'm a tantra coach, and tantra is about embodying pleasure and connection. So a lot of people are like, I just want the better sex one. But
yeah.
if you don't allow for emotion and sensation, that's what prevents relationships from really thriving. So day 3 is tantra embodiment practices, feeling safe to feel loved and connected again. A lot of people who I work with have come out of not awesome relationships. I don't want to label them anything, but we're going to talk a lot about masculine and feminine energy, empowered versus disempowered energy, not gender stereotypes, the actual energy of creation, how to use it for manifestation, how to create a life that you want through pleasure instead of creating a life that lets you avoid pain.
Yes, because those are 2 different roads. Those are 2 different approaches.
Yes, they're nowhere near the same thing. So we're going to focus on increasing pleasure instead of avoiding pain. So it is 3 days, November 7th through the 9th, St. George, Utah. It is interactive. It is live. And by the time this comes out, we talked about it, you'll miss the early bird. So I told Allyson, I'm like, okay, well, tell your people if they use Allyson's name at checkout, you can get the early bird price, which saves you $1,000.
Whoa.
So
see how much she loves me, and
thank Allyson, because that's why you get this price.
That is awesome. And for those of you who don't know my name or how to spell it, it's Allyson. Is it going to be case sensitive?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
When in doubt, use caps lock.
Okay. If it doesn't check you out with it lowercase, do caps lock, play with it. But be sure to put my name in there at checkout. So you can, that's a huge discount. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And one thing I really want people to understand with this, a lot of times you go to an event and you come home and people will say, well, how was it? And you'll go, it was so good. And they'll say, what did you learn? And you'll go, it was so good. Because you won't have integrated any of the information. We will be integrating the information. This is how you put this into practical use. And we're going to start with that right here, right now. So there is couples pricing. And so, because I have a lot of people, is this just for men? No, or just for women. This is for men and women. There is couples. My goal with this is what Allyson and I were talking about. My goal with this is to get people usable skills to get them out of panic, which a lot of people teach that, but I'm coming from a different perspective, which is this. I want you not just to learn how to deal with panic, but I want you to feel safe, to feel peace, which is a very different form of healing.
And let me add to that, because a quote by Edwene Gaines has been playing in my mind for some time, where everybody wants peace. And she says, money does not bring peace. Peace brings money. Yep. So if you want more money, you need to have more peace. But we are fed so much panic and destruction and doom and gloom right now that it's like, okay, I'm peaceful, and you're not feeling it. So that, and just let me like fangirl for one more second with you before we let you go, because I know you got stuff to do. But the thing that I love and appreciate so much about you is that you take these ethereal concepts, they feel super woo, and you make them so easy to understand and digest and actually use. So people are like, actionable steps you can take, but you're so overwhelmed and overloaded by the end of the day or the event that you're just like, I don't even remember what we did an hour ago. And I mean, you deep dive, but you do it in a way where it's like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. So I love that because you have the woo, but you also have the science, and that's really the same thing, just talked about in different ways,
Yeah.
that make it so easy to be able to be like, Joseph Murphy says you got to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And
Mhm.
you are so beautiful at encapsulating that. This is why what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it. And one more thing, you are a trauma informed breathwork coach. And I think that is I know that is so important. Everybody is carrying around so much trauma, and just doing your own breath work or having somebody that's like, oh, I just watched this YouTube video. If they're not trauma informed, it can actually put you in a bad place. And so you are safe. You're safe to feel your feels there. And she is trauma informed, and all the things. And come play with her. Come give me a hug, or let me give you a hug. But where can they find it? Where can they register, Laurel?
reflectionsinsideout.com/life-mapping-live.
Perfect. And we're gonna put all the links and everything in here as well. So you can get them in the show notes and all of that. But Laurel, thank you again for being here. Thank you for doing the work that you do. You have completely changed my life, long before we were even friends.
That
And
goes both ways.
so thank you. I love you to pieces. Thank you all for listening. Please share this podcast with others. Let's get overflow in this room and for this event, and really get you set up for a powerful 2025, because you are powerful and you know exactly how to tap into that and to lean in and be that. So until next time, remember, prosperity becomes you.